Zoning Board of Appeals meeting for Wednesday, March 1st, 2017. The first agenda item is a continuation of a public hearing for John Petraglia. He has an application for a variance, and it was advertised in the Telegram and Gazette, and it was also posted here at the Town Hall, and it read as follows. The Town of Douglas Zoning Board of Appeals will hold a public hearing at 7 p.m. on Wednesday, March 1st in the Douglas Municipal Center, Community Meeting Room, 29 Depot Street, Douglas, Mass. To hear the following application. 7 p.m., John Petraglia is requesting a variance in a rural agricultural RA zone district pursuant to the Douglas zoning bylaws Appendix B dimensional regulations to vary the required 90,000 square feet of land area to 85,089 square feet in order to subdivide the parcel into two lots on the property located at 74 Wallace Street, Assessors Map 184, Parcel 3. I'm going to recuse myself from this hearing and ask Mrs. Holmes to chair this hearing.
Okay. So, we've got a public hearing. I guess it's been opened, actually reopened from last time. And I think I'll just sit here and be comfortable. So, first we'll hear from the proponent to explain his case.
Hi.
Hi. Go ahead, please.
Are we all voting?
There's more of us than needed. Oh, there's five.
Five. So, all five of us? Okay.
So all five would be voting that are here. Thank you for that, Sean.
Sure. I have obviously submitted all the
Introduce yourself, please.
John Petraglia.
Just for the record.
Yeah. And the property you see is a lot that has an existing barn on it. It abuts the state forest to the rear, and it is on the corner of Cedar and Wallace Streets. So unfortunately, I do not have the option of correcting my shortfall of land. It would take a legislative act for the state forest to sell me a slice of land, and I'm on the corner, so I don't have the ability to change the topography in any way or the shape of the lot. So it's the unusual shape of this lot that is causing the issue. This previous zoning board of appeals did grant a variance on this, which I also submitted, and it went so far as to getting a Mylar signed by the zoning or the planning board, and that obviously is more than 2 years old. So I'm in a position now to, I wish to build a small single-family home next to the barn for myself and my wife, and keep the retaining parcel as a future building lot. I intend to build on the non-conforming lot and do that within the next 2 years so that the remaining parcel will be conforming and will be there for the future. I do have some photographs showing the intersection. Part of the issues over time, the street has gotten wider and wider. It was interesting because I have some pictures of this intersection all the way back to 1900, which is kind of fun.
So horses and carts didn't take weren't as wide as some of the
They
vehicles.
didn't, and as you know, there was some issue with the other end of Cedar Street, where one of the other owners thought that he owned the street, and clearly that's been decided. So, but as you can see, the corner is very wide. That corner, maybe in the future the town will correct it, but now that was all part of an original deed I had, and when it's been surveyed according to modern survey standards, I do not have enough land. So nothing has changed in terms of the neighborhood composition, and There shouldn't, I don't believe there's anything detrimental to the character of the neighborhood, and nothing was found in the last appeal that was granted by the town. So if anybody's interested in looking at these pictures, it's kind of interesting to see.
There's Louis. That's
Yeah, there
right.
he is. There was a grassy strip in the middle, and there was actually no, so right in here was all grass, which was part of this property. And eventually, as we got into car travel, it got paved over.
So you're 5,000 square feet
Yeah,
short.
I'm a few thousand square feet short on that one area.
5,000, right?
Yes, exactly. Here's another picture. You can see almost all the way downtown because of this clear cut. These are the church family.
Charlie.
Yep. And here's a picture taken from standing on the grassy strip. So you can see it really was a cart path that ran through there. And that was as late as probably 1902, I think is the date on that photo. And, I removed this section of building which was even closer to the road. I took off about an 8-foot section of building just to get it away from the road because I was afraid somebody was gonna knock into it, to make that a little more usable there. And this, again, is a copy. This is a new survey. The planning board did, or Bill reviewed this for the planning board, and they wanted the plan to be revised showing the certified registered surveyor stamps, so I did that. I have that new plan. I believe it has been submitted to this board as well, so you have copies of that.
We have it for our file.
Right, so that was the only change on it, they just wanted it stamped, so it has been stamped by the engineer. I'm sorry, the surveyor. And they completed a new boundary survey, and found whatever points they needed to find to do that. The configuration in the lot that I have got is slightly different than the one that the planning board originally signed. I moved the line to give more space between the two properties. There's extra frontage, as you can see. So I just wanted to create the best building envelopes for both parcels. So it's just a little different.
Do you have a copy, I'm sorry, do you have a copy of the 2002 variance?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, that was, I believe, submitted, but
I don't have it.
yeah.
If you have it. No, I have my packet, it's not attached.
No.
I received a packet, it says that it's attached, but it's not.
Okay. Actually,
They gave you a better packet.
Here's,
I got a better packet.
here's,
Here, decision?
yeah, the decision. Okay.
And here's the, second, 2 pages.
The guy that does the cooking there, the pigs and all this, he's down the street from you, right?
On Cedar Street?
Yeah. What's his name, Mike? The guy that does the cooking, you know what I mean? No.
Are you talking about Leon Mazinski?
Rick,
maybe?
Rick,
Leon raises beef cattle, but
no,
that's
no,
way
no,
down on
no,
Oak
this guy
Street.
just does the, he does my cookout.
Rick Morel?
Who?
Morel?
Yeah, Rick Morel.
I don't know him.
Yeah, he's right down the street from you.
Okay.
He's in that same intersection, right? Yeah.
I don't know what intersection you're talking about.
Cedar and Wallace.
There's only one house
No,
on
he's
that
further
corner.
down.
He's further down.
He's at Northwest Main and
I just, I mean, if I may,
Oh, please.
there's, the lots are not big enough, or one of the lots isn't big enough.
Correct.
Is the suggestion that it's because of the shape of this
Yes.
parcel, the entire and complete parcel, which does not consist of the full amount necessary to subdivide the property into the two lots? Is that the reason for the variance?
It's the unique nature and shape of this lot that if it's not granted will cause a hardship.
And it's because of the shape?
Well, obviously, I'm short the land, and because of the fact that I'm on a corner, I do not have the ability to purchase any additional land to correct it. So I can't come into compliance by adding to the property in any fashion here. I am hampered. As I said, it would take an act of the Secretary of State or an act of the legislature to purchase land from the state, even if they wanted to sell it to me. So I'm unable to fix that.
Who owns this piece here?
That is my parcel right now.
So that,
So I'm dividing it into two chunks.
So you've got a triangle, and you're making two triangles.
Right.
If I may follow up Sean's question. So when I first looked at this, I thought, why couldn't, if you have .05 acres extra here, how come you can't add it there by moving this property line?
I could, I asked the engineer why he didn't make it exact. It's still not gonna give enough for both lots. Then they would both be non-conforming at that point.
Really, huh?
Yeah, right. I was hoping that the survey, when they did the curve, because the town does not have any record of what they own there. It's, it's what it is, and modern.
Variable center line, 16
Yes,
feet either way.
correct. And, because of the continued expansion of pavement over, even during my ownership,
Can't imagine why.
it just keeps getting smaller, so,
Question, Pam.
yes,
Are you gonna do anything with this lot right now?
no.
Why do you need a variance? Why do you need to subdivide it? Why couldn't you just
Because
build
I'm
your
about
house
to
here and
build
then
on
we,
it.
excuse me?
Because I'm about to build on
On this one?
it. No, on the.
But
on
you,
my
you can
non-conforming.
build on this one right now.
Right, but I'm
And then-
preserving the value of that second lot, which is my right to do.
Okay. So you just
And-
want to drive a
yes.
stake in the ground at this point?
I can tell you,
Is that the stake?
I purchased this after this variance had been granted.
how long you been chasing this?
This is my first time in front of the board. But this property was in litigation for a number of years, so that I did not have an opportunity to do anything until I became the owner.
I see in your application, you've got, I think you mentioned that the deed conveyed to me in 2007 shows an area of 4.75 acres, yet I look at the,
4.25 acres.
well, it says here 75,
Okay, that's
Just
the typographic.
FYI.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, in fact, until this current fiscal year, the assessor's map was still showing 4.25. But as we know, it's the survey that counts.
So, looking at the reasons that can be used to grant a variance, you're looking to imply that the reason that you feel you can meet those qualifications is because of the shape of the lot?
Yes. Unless you see another reason I
I mean, the only other reason I can say is that there's an abutter that you have no ability to,
Right.
you know, to purchase from. But you know, it's
And
not,
that's, again, based on the unique nature of this being on a corner.
right, yeah.
If I was in the middle of a block, I would have
Mm.
much more opportunity.
It's tough. Does the board have any more questions right now, or do you wanna? I'll see if there's anybody has anything to say in the audience.
You know, I just want to reiterate that clearly the board felt the ability to grant a variance on this, that there was no detriment to the neighborhood, et
Mhm.
cetera, the last time. And then from that point until I purchased it, it was in court. So there was no opportunity to do anything. So it's kind of tough spot.
Mr. Heaney?
Dan Heaney, 44 Shady Lane. I was actually intimately involved in this property some years back, and it's a little history I think the board should be aware of. In 2002, I had a purchase and sale agreement to buy this property from the previous owners, whose name was Randall Russ. Mr. Petraglia was gonna buy one side of the street, I was buying the other. When I went to the closing, Mr. Russ's attorney failed to show. And I got a certified letter a couple days later saying that I didn't meet my obligation to purchase the property, therefore it was null and void. So I filed suit, and it got worked out. But it got worked out much quicker than Mr. Petraglia is saying. This was in 2002, it got worked out in 2003. And I actually, for lack of a better term, sold the purchase and sale agreement to Mr. Petraglia. At which time he got a copy of the, because I did all the work. I got the survey done, I went before the ZBA back in 2002. Mr. Russ bought the property, and his deed said 4.25 acres. When I had it surveyed, he didn't have 4.25 acres, so he had a hardship. He didn't get what he purchased. However, Mr. Petraglia had a copy of the variance, and he had a copy of that Mylar that he got from me. So he knew the shape of the lot when he purchased it, and he knew that he had a variance for it. If he sat on the variance for 10 years, that doesn't create a hardship. He knew exactly what he was getting.
I'll just point out the fact that I did not purchase it in 2004. If you look at the date of purchase, which was right after we made our agreement, it was 2006, I believe, when we purchased
That's
this.
correct. We made an agreement in 2003 that he knew exactly what he was buying. For whatever reason, he never closed with Mr. Russ. But in 2002, 2003, he knew exactly what he was buying. An irregular shaped lot, not enough land for 2 lots, of which Mr. Russ got a variance because Mr. Russ had a hardship.
Right.
He purchased something
Right.
and didn't get what he purchased. Mr. Petraglia got exactly what he purchased and was well aware of it. So I'm not sure where his hardship is. There's no topography issues on this lot. So my question to the board is, where was the hardship? Which was the grounds that the previous variance in 2002 was granted on.
That's why I had asked originally if there was .05 acreage here, and you're lacking .05 acreage here, why couldn't you just
Move the line.
move the line, whether it's 10 feet or 8 feet, whatever it is, to get the 2 acres and 2 acres? You see what I'm saying?
Because it's 90,000 square feet per
Right.
lot.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't have
90,000.
enough land.
It's not enough.
Is it,
I have no problem in disclosing that I paid Mr. Russ for 2 lots. That's the value that I paid for this in 2006, and if you recollect, the market was a lot different. So I have a lot of money invested in this property. And I've been a longtime resident of Douglas. I wish to preserve.
Now, are you looking
that
for
value.
that as,
No, my thing goes back to
Right.
the shape of this lot is such that I can't fix my issue. And I don't believe any of the circumstances changed since the original zoning board's issue here.
Yeah, would you know, or would Maria know, was the 2002 meetings recorded? Or is that too
No.
far back?
No, I don't think so, no.
Would there be meeting minutes for that?
There would be.
possible,
It could be.
possible, there was,
I
there
could
were
look it
problems
up.
with minutes. Right. We can research it,
Yeah, it's
obviously.
pretty similar. I'm not sure if the numbers match because we had it resurveyed, so
Sure.
I've already expended more money in
Yeah.
doing that,
Right.
just to make sure it's correct. Here's the plan. And the maps on it.
So, why didn't you record this?
Upside down.
I didn't own this lot until 2006. I could have recorded it, but it would not have been valid. I would have gone in for my building permit and been denied. Because, as you know, our zoning variance only runs for 2 years.
What's the date of that one?
Right.
That was my
So
understanding.
your purchase was after the fact as well, after the
Yes.
2 years had already gone by.
Yeah,
2002.
and, you know, the,
So when you
The
bought the land, you
litigation-
did have this?
I did, it was handed to me
And
the
you
day
just-
I
You just
purchased
didn't
it.
go up and record? Because the town did sign it,
Right, yeah. So,
and nothing changed with zoning.
correct.
You know what I mean? Nothing changed.
So when you bought this, you knew this was 1.95 acres,
Yes.
but
The town had previously
But it had
issued a
it had a variance
it had a
attached
variance
to it
attached to it.
Right.
that doesn't necessarily travel unless you have to record it.
I understand. Even if I recorded it, again, it was after the date,
Yeah.
so,
No, it was whoever came in for this was required to record it.
so. Protocol.
I don't understand why you waited so long. How long did before you?
The attorney was Randall Russ, and he brought it from
From
Charlie
Church.
Church. And again, the issue here is, you know, the radius on this corner, clearly, and I didn't show you, but older deeds, this property on both sides of the road.
It's been encroached, yeah,
Yeah.
slipped off.
There's a
See,
huge
what bothers me, doesn't bother me. You know, you got town signatures right here. Now, someone can go to court and say, well, it was 2 years ago. The first thing the judge said, well, did anything change here?
Yes, it did.
What changed? No?
Not being presented the same way. That's changed.
Okay, so what's that say?
That says 2 acres, that says 2.06, 90,000 square feet, and this is 85.
Right.
It's
So
the opposite.
It's just the opposite. But it's really just cutting.
Moot. It's moot.
It's moot.
That doesn't,
I don't know if the exact survey came out with the exact same square footage totally. This one is showing 175, 115, and the new survey shows,
175, 116.
right, so they found another foot in their survey. They were doing it 1 square foot.
So you're saying this lot, this line is moved?
Yeah, over here, it's over to this point.
There'll still be one lot that's short a little bit.
I'm just confused where the hardship is. If you're not doing anything with this lot, you're building a house over here. I don't understand the hardship.
at this time.
Right now.
right this
Today.
second.
And that's
you
what
know.
we're talking about today.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So hypothetically, if he built a house here, and then he wanted to build a house here, he would come before the board and say the hardship is, I don't have 2 acres. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
If he wanted to
Like
sub,
right now,
he
right.
could build
I
a
see what you're
house, he
saying now.
can
It's the
legally
second
build a
one
house
that
right
is
here
gonna put the pressure
without a
on.
problem. If he decided he wanted to build a
I
second
wish
house,
to
then he would have,
preserve
then he would come
the
in.
ability to have a second lot
Yeah.
in the future.
I see what you're saying, right.
Well, if
So-
you took one now, you could always come back for the second one. Then you got a hardship, right?
There's no hardship right now if you only build one house.
Yeah.
That's what I'm confused about.
But why would it be a hardship if I come back in the future, tomorrow, after I get my building
Because all of your
permit?
alternatives have been used up, really.
Aren't they used up now?
Well, I know that, I know how I would vote at the moment, but I would like to see the 2002 meeting minutes.
Yeah,
Just to understand what facts were found at that
Yeah.
time, and what facts were looked into, if they
Yeah.
exist.
yeah, yeah. I mean,
I agree.
I mean, I think one of the extenuating circumstances is that he does abut the state land, which really,
He does what?
he abuts state property,
State
which,
property.
which, for all intents and purposes, does a fence say that you can't get through.
A hardship would be preventing you from building a house, right? He's not prevented from building a
No,
house.
and I understand that, and I agree, I
Yeah.
sort of agree with it.
Yeah.
Okay,
Just going by what
so
the
does the
rules
board,
tell,
would the board like to do some further research and get out, look for minutes, Maria, okay? On that meeting, see what the dates were and however many minutes that we got, including the decision hearing.
This was signed on 11/26/02. But
Before
just
my
to help it, try to narrow it down to when it was.
Yeah. Oh, we got, I think we have the ability to look up minutes, but
There must be a file, no? No.
there should be, there should be. But, you know, again, things evolve, communities grow, they become more adept at process. After 15 years, 15 years ago, so. We'll see.
See, if you built here, then you came back and said, I need a hardship, and you got state forest in the back,
Yeah.
there's no doubt, you'd be in good shape.
Dan Heaney, 44 Shady Lane. The zoning bylaws clearly state you cannot create your own hardship.
Ralph, this
I
is
was
true.
just looking up for that, yeah.
This is true. I can't find it. Maybe you can find it in that one. This book is faulty. Okay, so do you want to continue this hearing? Have a motion to continue?
A motion to continue it. You get more information.
Okay.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so we're gonna continue it for a month, till April 5th? Let's find the first one.
April 5th,
Yeah.
7 PM.
Is there any other information that I can provide other than helping find those notes?
Sir, any information that you can provide to show us why you can qualify for a variance would be very
Right.
welcome.
Yep.
Bring a lawyer. Thank you.
Okay, we've got another hearing coming up, and I think we've got a chairman coming back. Thank you.
Thank you, Ken.
You're welcome.
Oh, good. I'm sorry.
Next agenda item is a public hearing continued for Main Street Auto and Towing Incorporated, 120 Gilboa Street. Date of the application was January 9th. It was advertised in the Telegram and Gazette and posted at the Town Hall and read as follows. The Town of Douglas zoning board of appeals will hold a public hearing beginning at 7:15 on Wednesday, February 1st in the Douglas Municipal Center Community Meeting Room, 29 Depot Street, Douglas, Mass. To hear the following application. Main Street Auto and Towing is requesting a modification to a special permit, case number 2014-11, Gilboa Properties LLC, findings number 2 and number 3. In an industrially zoned district pursuant to the Douglas zoning bylaws, Appendix A, Schedule of Use Regulations, Section 3.1.3, Table of Use Regulations, to lease 5,000 square feet of space for the service of motor vehicle repair and/or maintenance that will be open to the public, and the parking lot will include 20 parking spaces, 2 of which are handicapped on property, located at 120 Gilboa Street, map 138, parcel 43. The public hearing is now open. Let's see, Mr. Holland, myself, Mrs. Holmes, Mr. Demers, and Mr. Fitzpatrick will be voting on this, and all the board will be participating in the discussion. The applicant, if you want to state your name.
Yeah, I'm Robert Churia, owner and president of Main Street Auto and Towing, located at 120 Gilboa Street in Douglas, Mass. What we're seeking here is a modification of a permit, or a special permit, I believe a variance that was given to Gilboa Properties LLC. There was a concrete company that was in there working and repairing on their own vehicles. And I would like to go in there and repair vehicles for the public and so forth. A variance was already given, so we're seeking a modification of that so that we can both run our business.
You know, if I could just say that, it looks like our appendixes don't match.
Okay.
It's Appendix B. It's industrial use. Just FYI.
Want to read that aloud?
Sure. In the Town of Douglas zoning bylaws, there are 2 appendices, Appendix A and Appendix B. Appendix B lists the zoning district, the uses that are allowed, the minimum square footage, et cetera, maximum heights. And the zoning district under industrial says it's allowed use, retail establishment for public sale, motor vehicle repair shop, contracting business, recycling business. So, just so for the board's edification, there are some mismatches in our bylaws that should get fixed.
Mhm.
It's been known for a while.
So,
It's the building commissioner that told you you needed a variance to operate there?
yes, because there was a variance given already, so we needed to amend that existing,
I think that was a special permit.
or a
was it
special
not?
permit, I don't have it in
Correct.
front of me.
Okay, that's very different than variance.
Right,
Language means everything.
Yes.
so we did go to the planning board and got a special permit for the parking area and so forth, and everything that was required from planning,
You got site plan approval,
yes,
not a special permit, site plan approval.
right, site plan approval,
That language again.
yeah.
So this previous one had both a special permit and a variance.
Right.
Had both.
Okay.
Yeah,
And they were looking to repair trucks,
right,
not,
Their own
not for the
fleet truck.
public.
that's correct. Are they
Right.
still over there? They still
Now
live
they
there?
bought another property and
Okay.
moved. So,
I mean, I recall the last addition to that property, and it was the truck repair. And my concern was line of sight and cars coming out of that area. And as a matter of fact, 2 days ago, I came down from the Shell station, and car pulled out. Shouldn't have pulled out. They could see me coming. So I'm still concerned about it, especially if the business, and I mean, notwithstanding the fact that this is, you know, odd, that, you know, it feels like it could be a dangerous area with cars pulling in and out. Is there any way that the operation can use another driveway? Can you go around back or no? Or do you need to go out? I mean,
Can we
could
go
you go
back?
in that way and out another way?
It's possible that, but there are vehicles from the other parts of the mills going out of there,
Out of where?
out of that driveway,
entrance.
that entrance too. I mean,
Other tenants.
other tenants and
Hmm.
things of that nature, and
It
There is
might be a
some-
nice conversation to have with the owner of the building that, doesn't, I mean, because it's a straightaway down in the flat area, you know, where the,
That's where
Right.
the daughter and mother got killed, right?
that was in front of the Shell station.
Yeah, that was there.
Yeah, further up.
I like that memory, right? I like that memory.
Like it? Oh, it's horrible. Oh, your memory, yes.
Is this dated after the other one, or is it just, are they both the same date?
I don't think it's hard to tell where the change took place again. They're not marked. So what we'd have to do is go back and look at the various dates. It says on the front, when, you know, all the revisions.
Right.
We'd have to look at this date and see when it was added. I don't recall. I think we did do some research. A lot of too much in my brain.
You're just gonna service the public, right?
Yeah,
Well, I mean, based on this, which I'm not sure what the date of this one is, he doesn't need a special
Right,
permit.
Right.
But if we give them one, everybody will be happy.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, what are you looking at? He doesn't need a special permit?
Oh, I think he
Look at
was.
this appendix B.
The same one you
Oh,
said.
okay,
So
because of
you-
that, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
You can do auto repair
yeah, right,
in that zone
right,
to the public.
right.
And so, the planning board did a site plan review. Did they talk to you about used oils and all, and
oh
that
yeah,
type
I'm
of
all
product?
fully licensed for all that.
Okay. Just thought I'd ask.
No, no problem. Any license that I needed, I believe I do have it. If I don't have it, I will get it. You know, I will do the proper channels to get what we
Outstanding
need.
person that you are.
Mhm.
That's the board's thoughts.
We could do a little research on this, Dan, if you want to get it, you know, we may want to get it right,
No, we definitely get it right.
considering that there is a little bit of confusion here. We continue it for a month. I mean, he's operating
Mhm.
legally,
Well,
yes. What?
We have a letter from Larry Lynch dated December 16th,
Right.
and it looks like he granted a 60-day maximum
Uh-huh.
business certificate.
Uh-huh.
Which expires today.
Right. Actually, February 16th,
Yeah,
right?
that was gonna be my question.
Yeah, 60 days.
Well,
So, what I'd like to do as a board, if we can, rather than waiting 30 days, because he's a business owner, I guess I have a couple questions. So, the building inspector says he needs a special permit, because that's what was granted the previous operator there. But our bylaws says, it doesn't say he doesn't need a special permit, it just doesn't require a special permit, right?
Right.
So could we, as a board, discuss tonight, well, if we're following the zoning bylaws, he doesn't need a special permit?
My only problem with that is I think we probably need to talk to the building commissioner about it. And he was planning to come tonight, but I guess he had
Okay.
a meeting in another town and couldn't be in two places. I mean,
He could grant a continuance of the,
Yes.
yeah, and I think
Yeah.
it would be fair for us to ask him to do that for,
Yep.
let's say, 60 days.
yeah, I just don't wanna see an owner come
Oh.
here And then
Oh, no,
he
and I
can't
don't want-
continue operating
Right.
I don't want,
because we're pushing it out
Right.
30 days.
Right.
More
but if we, I mean, I think Larry's a pretty fair person. I think if we sent him a memo saying
Okay,
that
Because
there's
of
some
this.
confusion
yeah,
in the bylaws. I'm not sure what he was reading when he sent the applicant here.
Probably
Maybe
the
something
previous-
different than this, maybe the previous
yeah,
edition.
right, right.
So I think we could,
I think
Help you.
actually Larry was going off that
The
existing.
last one, right,
Right, and he
Right.
felt that I needed to amend that one.
Yep.
And
Mhm.
Yep.
what he was looking at.
right.
And
Rather than going back.
He had sent, when we put in the application to the planning board, a memo goes to all the boards.
right,
And we actually had a memo from somebody on the zoning board that we needed to be here.
What?
That who needed to be here?
I did, with Main Street Auto to address that.
I'm not,
You know, when you.
Repeat it again.
There was a memo that when all the boards get, like the police department, the fire department, everybody gets notified. And then they went to the zoning board, and I think there's a piece of paper somewhere that states that I needed to come here for that variance.
So it was probably on the site plan review when it came through.
That's,
And
yeah,
it probably came to us for our recommendation on it.
right,
right,
right.
And because of our understanding with Alfie,
right.
it
Who was-
probably got written in that
Mhm.
he needed to come before this board.
Right, and actually, I think on Dolphin's approval, it said it was specifically for him.
Correct.
That's correct.
And I'm
Right.
assuming that that's what the building commissioner was going by.
Yep.
And,
Yep.
so,
But that's probably the memo that he's referring to.
Right. I
would
With
think
the
it is.
remarks that we put down on the
Yeah, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
correct, yeah, I would agree with that.
courtesies.
So, is the board okay with us sending a memo to the building commissioner, asking him to extend his
Right.
use for 60 days?
It's not gonna affect him, it'll be an operate.
And not, if...
I'll move that we continue Main Street Auto for another month to clarify what's going on and to send a memo to the building commissioner to ask him if he would extend the permit.
Okay, we have a motion by Mrs. Holmes,
I'll second that.
seconded by Mr. Demers. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, we'll get that memo.
Sorry,
All
Rob,
right,
we'll
Michelle,
get
it's
there.
okay. We'll get through it, okay? Thank you guys very much. Take it easy. Yeah, good night.
Okay, the next agenda item is public hearing of Alfred Panish and Company, case number 2015-02. The hearing was advertised in the Telegram and Gazette and also posted here at the Town Hall, and it read as follows. The Town of Douglas Zoning Board of Appeals will hold a public hearing beginning at 7:30 on Wednesday, February 1st in the Douglas Municipal Center, Municipal Meeting Room, 29 Depot Street, Douglas, Mass. To hear the following applications. Alfred Benice and Company, case number 2015-02 is being reopened and requesting a special permit in a commercially zoned district pursuant to the Douglas zoning bylaws, Appendix A, Schedule of Use Regulations. Letter F, other uses, number 1, for a drive-through window located at 74 Main Street, Assessors Map 188, parcel number 33. Public hearing is now open.
Yeah.
I just wanted everybody to see it.
Did we get the green cards back?
Yes,
We did, okay.
yes, we did.
Okay, and all the members will be hearing the case, and again, Mr. Fitzpatrick, Mr. Demers, Mrs. Holmes, myself, and Mr. Holland will be voting on it, and all members will be participating.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, members of the board, my name is George Carizzi. I'm an attorney in Worcester County, West Boylston, Massachusetts. I'm co-counsel for the applicant. With me tonight is Mark Lake, who is also co-counsel. He's an attorney in Oxford. He's litigation counsel. Also Angela Cormier, who's an attorney with my office in West Boylston. We also have with us tonight the design engineer, Russell Sear. He's with the firm of Alfred Benesch and Company. That's the applicant who filed the application for special permit. And also we have Jennifer Conley, right? Jennifer Conley, she's a traffic engineer who's done a traffic analysis of the site in preparation for the application. Alfred Benesch and Company has filed an application for a special permit on behalf of New England Realty Ventures LLC. This is an application made under the Douglas zoning bylaws for a special permit for a drive-through window on the site. The matter had been presented previously to the zoning board. That matter is currently pending appeal in the Worcester Superior Court. And during the appeal, trial counsel, both for the town and for the applicant, discussed the possibility of a representation to the board for reconsideration of this. The idea was floated before the court. The court remanded it to the board for reconsideration. The idea being largely that it's best, if possible, to keep the decision at the local level rather than at the court level, and give the town an opportunity to condition the permit. If a permit's going to be issued, let the town condition the permit. Basically under the theory that a settled case is a one case for both sides. So this application is back before the board relative to the drive-through window for this project. My client's done a lot of work on the property, a lot of work on the project, and we're very excited about the proposal. I'm very proud of the design and happy to go through the project. So at this point, I'd like to acclimate the board and the public with the site. The property has street address of 74 Main Street in Douglas. It is a parcel of vacant land. It's approximately 5.5 acres in the area. It's located at the intersection of Main Street and Rydell Street. It is on the north side of Main Street and on the east side of Rydell Street at the intersection. It is largely a flat field. It's largely a flat lot. There are some areas around the edges in which the slope of the property slopes up, but for the most part, what you see is where you get it's a relatively flat tract. The property has about 560 feet of frontage on Main Street, Route 16, and the applicant is proposing a commercial building and a commercial development with, and on the plan it proposes traffic flows, parking, and the drive-through, which is the subject of this application. The site, when developed, proposes access from both Main Street and Rydell. So there'll be 2 points of access and egress on the site. As part of the plan preparation, we've engaged a traffic engineer to assess the site for traffic concerns so that the location of the points of access would be best located on the property. Those assessments were done based on engineering standards and with adjustments and calculations as required by Mass DOT. And there's been a traffic study that's had been presented to the board earlier. The traffic was assessed during peak times with adjustments as required by Mass DOT. The analysis indicates that the proposed drive-through would have no appreciable effect on the level of service on Main Street. That the Main Street during peak hours has about 1,000 vehicles per hour. This site is really not, or the proposed drive-through would not be a destination point, more it would take traffic off Main Street and put traffic back on. There would be no increase of volume on the road, or no appreciable increase of volume on the road, and therefore there'd be no appreciable decrease in the level of service. We did look at the site and did look at the prospects of the site relative to possible backup. if there were a situation in which traffic at the site or at the drive-through might back up, then what would the effect of that be on the streets which would access this property? And whether or not there would be a backup that would interfere with traffic on those ways. When we do that, we look at the property and assess it for the stack. That's the term they use, is what is the stack? What is the queue of vehicles that we would anticipate? And we look at the site for what kind of capacity it provides on site to accommodate that stack. And this site, both access points or both travel ways on the site from either Main Street or Rydell produces a stack well in excess of, both produce a stack in excess of 15 lots. It may be more. So with over 30 vehicle capacity in the stack, it is highly unlikely, it's over 3 times what the average stack would be in peak flow hours for a drive-through. There's plenty of capacity on site, so we don't anticipate any stacking issue that would affect, you would see the vehicles back up to the roads, and there'd be no trouble entering onto the property based on the capacity that the site produces for traffic flow and for the drive-through. So when we look at that, when we design the site and look at the site, we look at traffic on the 2 roads, Main Street and Rydell. And when an engineer designs the project to assess where we're gonna put our access points, because that's a number 1 concern for safety, they do a few things. And the first thing they do is they want to make sure that the access points are as close to perpendicular to the main travel ways as you can. T-intersections are the best to accommodate traffic flowing in and out of the property, and both access points on this site are virtually perpendicular to the travel ways. So we have a near 90-degree angle for both of them, which allows for easy access into the site, easy access out of the site. We then look for site distances. Well, actually, before we do that, we look to see the distance from nearby intersecting streets so that we can locate the access points a distance away. You don't want the driveway right next to a road. So we've located our access and egress points distant away from the intersection of Rydell. Rydell is the street that's the intersecting street right nearby. We made sure that we put the driveways that enter onto the site a distant away. So the distance from Rydell to the intersection or to the access road coming off of Main Street is over 340 feet. So we've moved that as far to the east as is reasonably practical and good place to do it. The next thing we do is we look to see, we look to locate it in a convenient area relative to intersections on the side opposite. So first of all, we try to maintain distance from intersections on the same side, and then we try to locate our access point virtually opposite if there is an intersection or a street across the street from us. We want to tie those points together. So you'll note on the plan that this particular access point off Main Street is located directly opposite the intersection of Blackwell. Is it Blackwell? Brookside, I'm sorry, Brookside Terrace. So Brookside Terrace is located directly opposite the access road into there. So we look at those intersections also to see the relative safety of those intersections. A review of the crash history of both intersections indicate that in the trailing 3 years, there's 1 accident at each intersection. And that's way below what the average is for, for intersections in this type of zone. So when you take a look at that, you say, well, why is that? And that goes to the next point as to when we look at this, we have to measure what our site distances are. And from the intersection of where we're proposing the access on Main Street, which would be the intersection of Brookside. In either direction, there's over 1,000 feet of clear sight. So I can show you these. We do have photographs showing the site distance from the point of access going both directions, and you can see forever. It's over 1,000 feet. So why is that significant? Obviously, the further you can see, the safer the road is. If it's and at this location, Main Street is Route 16 is virtually straight. It's goes on forever for over 1,000 feet. In I don't want to say it's a straight line, but the radius of the road is over 1,700 feet. So you can see forever in both directions. So we then determine whether, how does that impact our site? What does that do? So when you design a site, you'll look to see what kind of stopping site distance you need for vehicles traveling on Main Street in case they have to stop. And what's the fear, because the vehicles have to, if drivers have to respond to a vehicle pulling in, what kind of distance do they need? So in a 30-mile-an-hour zone, or traveling at 30 miles an hour, the stopping site distance is 200 feet, all right? Traveling at 40 miles an hour, the stopping distance is 305 feet. And traveling at 50 miles an hour, which anybody's gonna be traveling 50 miles an hour there, the stopping site distance is 425 feet. What does this mean? With our site distance going in both directions over 1,000 feet, we have 5 times the required stopping site distance at 30 miles an hour. We have over 3 times the required stopping distance at 40 miles an hour, and we have double the required stopping distance at 50 miles an hour. This is an extremely safe stretch of road, and the location that the applicant has proposed for the location of this access point, or this driveway pulling into the site, is reasonable and meets all of the requirements of DOT and AASHTO. This is the place to put it. It's distant from the intersections, it's across from the other one, and you get sight distance for 1,000 feet in both directions. So, with that in mind, thinking that this is still a very safe project and a very safe proposal, we've nevertheless looked at the possibility or the prospects of improving Main Street in that area. So, excuse me, if I may approach again. There has been a concept plan for a passing lane, or a turning lane is probably better. So cars traveling east on Main Street looking to turn in at that driveway would have a turning lane. And there would be a winding of the road there that would allow cars that are not planning on either stopping or turning to pass on the right. So that, number one, increases the traffic flow, improves the traffic flow, provides additional safety provisions there. That's something that would obviously be reviewed by planning board at site plan. It's gonna have to be reviewed by DPW, determine that that's exactly what they want. Town engineer's gonna review that. But there is, if necessary, there is a solution. We believe that the application as is provides safe access and safe egress from the site. But there's clearly room in the right of way for a turning lane, for a passing lane, and that's a concept that's been designed by the applicant and the design engineer. And again, that's something that we would normally deal with at site plan with the planning board. Traffic flow on site is also something that's going to be reviewed with by the planning board. It's got sufficient parking that meets all of the zoning bylaws relative to parking. This is a mixed retail and office space. 37 parking places are dedicated in the plan. The lot is certainly big enough to accommodate any expansion that might be necessary for parking, but we don't anticipate any need to extend beyond what is proposed under the plan that's before you. So having basically acclimated to the site and the proposal, I'd like to turn attention to the bylaw and the criteria under the bylaw for what the town looks at under the bylaw. And the first criteria is traffic flow and safety, and we've discussed what we plan to do on the site, how we have to, what we plan to accomplish, how we address the safety issues, what the points of access is, and what the parking requirements are. And we believe that the plan satisfies the criteria of the ZBA relative to under the special permit application, special permit provision of the bylaw. Next thing we look at is the social and economic and community needs. This particular proposal proposes a mixed office space, retail space, retail restaurant space. So it offers a location for businesses. It offers a place for gathering at the restaurant. It offers a place for town residents to purchase their consumer needs. We believe that this it provides a benefit to the town in that it provides the services that a municipality and its residents want and deserve. Deserve a place to go to eat. They deserve a place for working in local offices. We believe that this application provides a service to the town's residents. Third criteria under the bylaw are utilities and services. This is Main Street. The review of this plan indicates that there'll be no impact on municipal services. This is not a residential site, so we're not going to be looking at children in schools. We're not going to be looking at those kinds of criteria, those kinds of concerns. It's a commercial, retail, and office space. It has minimal impact on municipal services. It's not going to be draining services that are available there. And all of the utilities that are necessary to service the site are available right there. So we don't anticipate any extension of the municipal services. When we look at the next criteria, which is the neighborhood characteristics, we point out that this is a commercial zone, that this is an area that's been dedicated by the town of Douglas as a commercial property, that this is a use that's contemplated and encouraged by the bylaw. It's one of the places that this town has designated that they want commercial uses applied to the properties. And we note that the business zone is not only on this side of the road, but it actually extends over to the other side of the road. And it extends rather far up Rydell Street. It's a rather sizable location of commercial property, and we believe that this is absolutely in keeping with the neighborhood. So the next criteria under the bylaw is the natural environment. A review of this property indicates that there are very few environmental impacts. Minimal, if any, wetland impacts. There are some wetlands on the other side of the street. We're well outside the 100-foot buffer zone. There may, and that's a matter of just to determine the actual, whether or not the stream on the other side is river under the riverfront definition under the Wetlands Act. There may be a very, very small area of the site impacted by the riverfront area. And if it is jurisdictional, it's obviously going to require Concom review and approval. A review of the site online indicates that there are no wildlife concerns there. There's no endangered species. There's no priority habitat. This site has not been designated as being environmentally sensitive or significant. So that criteria under the bylaw, we believe we satisfied. And the last criteria under the bylaw is the fiscal impact. So we look at the fiscal impact of this site, and right now, and that's relative to taxes and, drain on services. This site right now is a vacant field. Probably the lowest tax base that property can generate for tax revenues. What's being proposed here is a new commercial building with mixed-use office and retail that will increase the tax base with minimal impact on municipal service, no impact or minimal impact on level of service for the street, and provide an opportunity for employment for people. It'll provide an opportunity for residents to purchase things at the site. And it's going to increase the tax base on this particular property rather significantly. So that's a win-win, and it's in a commercial zone. So, having run through the criteria under the bylaw, I'd just like to take a quick look and have a quick word on the application. I remind the board that this is an application for a special permit. As you noted, there's a huge difference between special permits and variances. Where a variance seeks to allow a use which has been prohibited, the courts have routinely recognized that the grant of variances should be grudgingly granted, all right? But relative to special permits, they have an entirely different view. Special permits involve uses that are anticipated uses. These are uses that have been approved by the town. This is the use that is looked at and established as an approved use, giving the town an opportunity to review the use and to apply conditions that might be necessary to accommodate that use. So, whereas variances should be grudgingly granted, the courts have said that in the exercise of the board's discretion, the board does not have untrammeled discretion or an unbridled fiat. They have a duty to act reasonably and fairly in the application or in reviewing applications for special permits, and consider the application relative to the harmony, whether it's in the harmony and intent of the bylaw. And since this property is commercially zoned, and this is a contemplated use, and it's approved, it's allowed by special permit, it is entirely consistent with the zoning bylaw. It is entirely consistent with the harmony and intent of the bylaw, which says, use the property commercially. If you want to do a drive-through, come to us so that we can review it. It doesn't say they're prohibited. It says that it's reviewable by special permit upon application. So we're here tonight, we respectfully request, given the fact that it had been remanded by the Superior Court for consideration, would ask the board to reconsider this application and vote favorably upon this decision, upon this application. If the board has any questions, I'm happy to try to answer them. Certainly the traffic engineer can answer any questions, and the design engineer can as well.
Thank you. Sean?
You mentioned, I believe, that you have a review of the last 3 years of any accidents that occurred in that area. Is that a document that you have?
Jennifer, can you explain that?
Certainly, I can produce a document for you. The Mass DOT maintains a database that is collected by each municipality of crashes that occur in their municipality and get forwarded on to the state. And they create a big spreadsheet, and although I didn't prepare it to bring it in, I did a search for any crashes that occurred on Rydell and anything that occurred at Brookside as well, kind of in this stretch. And there was one crash that happened at Main and Rydell. There was another one that occurred down by the transfer station, not at this particular intersection, but also on Rydell. And there was one crash over the 3-year period that occurred at Brookside. And I can certainly provide you with the statistics on those crashes. It summarizes them by type of accident. Sometimes it's a single car, someone ran off the road, sometimes it's an angle accident or rear end accident. It summarizes all of that information that's pulled from the actual crash reports and summarized. And as he indicated, then we compare that crash rate per million entering vehicles at these intersections to the Mass DOT district average for this area, and come up with whether an intersection is considered more safe than average or less safe than average.
But you don't have that to provide to the board?
I don't have it at this moment, but I'm happy to provide it to the board if you'd like.
Go ahead.
And the traffic report, that didn't change from the last traffic report?
It did not.
It did not. It's the exact same report that you'd be submitting in essence if you submitted it.
Correct.
May I tag on to that
Oh,
question?
Sure. Go ahead,
Since I had a question with that. So what were the peak times?
We studied the peak periods, which were 7 to 9 a.m., 4 to 6 p.m., and 11.
Excuse me, 7 to 9 a.m.
Yes.
What days of the week?
I can check which week, a weekday between Tuesday and Thursday is when we do our counts. We try not to do Monday, we try not to do Friday, because the peak periods are a little different on those days.
So
So-
7 to 9 a.m. Tuesday and Thursday
And then 4 to 6 as well.
on
a
the same
mid-
days?
On a midday weekday, and then 11 to 1 on Saturday.
Okay, thanks.
If I may,
Go ahead.
is there a site distance report that exists, or was that rhetorical?
Well,
advice?
it wasn't rhetorical. I mean, that's what it is. We do have,
No, I'm just a report, just describing whatever measurements were made or whatever.
no, we don't have a report. I can show you that there is a graphic that shows it's basically been superimposed, the project's been superimposed on the existence on Main Street. They ran the distance from the proposed access point to the curve. It's 1,230 feet. And in this direction, it's well over 1,200 feet, and it goes on. Way over whatever, and bear in mind that, you know, at 40 miles an hour, 305 feet is the required stopping distance. So when you look at this, you say, well, how far do you have to go? I mean, we got 1,200 feet, and you know, we need 3. So it's well in excess of the required stopping site distances for that intersection.
So,
No, go ahead, Joe.
so that plan, the number that's on it, the
1280.
1280.
Yes, 12:30.
So that represents if one is standing at the corner of the property, one can see that clearly into the distance? And
That's the distance.
That's just the
This is
distance
the distance
measured?
from the curve to there, and it's straight. So
Just measured on
measured
as
on.
if you had one of those wheels?
Well, we also know that it's a virtually straight line. So it's not as though, you know, the road goes like this. It's, you know, it's along, the line is drawn along the right of way. So that's the distance that the right of way has.
Was the topography taken into consideration when you stated this is 1,200 feet?
Well, we have a, let me take a look at that.
While you're looking at that, if I may ask, is this Glen Street here? Do you know?
I can't answer that, but
I believe that is Glen Street.
This is K2 Automotive here in this corner, 19. I'd like to know that. Because that goes in with the chairman's question as far as the hill,
Topography.
coming down the hill, topography.
well, this is it. This is it looking from the point of intersection. Where am I going? East.
Yep.
You know, it's a straight road, and it goes on. You have plenty of sight distance. At the
Now,
side.
that's in front of Brookline Terrace,
What's that?
correct?
Have you
I
visited?
drove by it, you know. There's not really not much to
Well-
see there, but
My best guess, and I think I have a pretty good judgment, that from this point to
Glen Street.
Glen Street has to be a minimum of 10 feet difference in elevation, if not more. Probably
10 feet.
15.
Oh, it's more than
It's more than
that. It's more than that. It's probably 20 or 30.
15 feet over 1,200 though.
Can I just jump in for 1 minute? Yes, you are definitely correct. The grade change is right there, and we did get into this conversation the last time we were before the board. And certainly, the stopping site distance at Glen Road is probably not meeting the minimums, but I didn't measure that. But I did take a look at the stopping site distance, and although from looking from the site driveway, looking out in each direction, you can certainly see very, very far. The actual critical measurement is as you are the driver in your car on Main Street, when can you see the spot at the site driveway? When could you see the bumper of a car pulling out, installing, and avoid a collision? So that critical measurement, which I measured to be in each direction, approaching from each direction over 400 feet, and honestly didn't measure more than that because I knew that we were already up in the 50 mile an hour range for what was acceptable stopping sight distance. So as the traffic engineer, I can tell you that I verified with a cone that was exactly the right height. I measured the stopping sight distance, and it was more than adequate for a 50-mile-an-hour roadway.
Mr. Chairman, concerning the studies, what month were these done?
Well, stopping sight distance is the same always.
No, you're
Well, as far as the traffic studies
The
is concerned.
traffic counts were conducted back in February 2 years ago. And because there is obviously always concern about counts that are done in the summertime, we did 2 different sets of analysis. The first set of analysis was to adjust by Mass DOT standards to an average month condition. Based on our experience before this board, the last time I know there was a certain concern about summertime traffic really being a spike. So we adjusted it up another 10% to adjust it a total of 20%, which truly is more of a seasonal variation like on Cape Cod. So I'm not sure that Douglas, has as big of a spike as Cape Cod does, but in the event that it does, we did do a quick analysis of that. The site impact still remains the same. The baseline conditions get a little worse, but the site impact is still, there's no change in level of service, and the increase in delay is about, I believe it was 5 to 7 seconds, similar to what was reported in the traffic study. You basically just made your baseline a little worse, but our site incremental on top of it is about the same.
What time is sunset in February in this
Now.
area?
I don't
Oh.
exactly
The,
know.
the reason why I ask, coming up that hill,
Yeah.
you can get blinded
Right.
by the sun. That's
By
what I'm
Glen
thinking.
Road coming up the
Yes.
hill towards
Yep.
us, sure.
That's
But
right.
then when you get past that point where then you'll still have adequate sight distance to be able to stop. If something happened at our driveway, I can't speak to beyond that, but at our driveway, you will still have that adequate stopping sight distance.
So you used a cone to simulate, to look for sight.
As if it was a bumper, so it really,
The cone is what color?
it's orange.
Blaze orange?
Yeah.
Okay. But not very many cars are blaze orange,
But
just FYI.
many cars are much bigger than one skinny little
Right.
cone. So it just simulates what the height and what the location
Yeah.
would be of the driveway and of a vehicle exiting.
And what type of vehicle are you looking at? Like, what's the weight of the, gross weight of a vehicle in your studies? I'm thinking of a four-wheel drive truck pulling a boat. So it's obviously would take a lot longer to stop than
Right,
a
certainly.
car.
I would agree with you on that. One of the things that they do, because again, it's a nationwide standard that you're measured to, is it takes into account wet conditions. And there are some factors of safety in that, and they bump it up to accommodate, I'm sure, for the proportion of heavy vehicles. I'm not sure what the percentage of large vehicles are here, but obviously in some areas it's as high as 10 or 15%. In a tractor trailer obviously would have similar stopping characteristics to a heavy truck pulling a boat. So there is some of that factored into those calculations.
Okay.
There's a pole in the middle of the road there,
There is.
Have we got any plans for that?
Well, the pole's been there.
Other side,
We certainly encourage the town to move the pole if they can. I suspect that it's more difficult to do that. Otherwise, I presume the town would have done that already. If the town does want to move it, first of all, we looked at that. There's plenty of room within the right-of-way for them to relocate and basically put a pole here and a pole on the other side of Rydell. Take the pole out of the middle and then put the pole there and there. We're also absolutely prepared if the town wants it. So if the town decides that they want to move that pole, bear in mind, the fire is right here. So if they think that the town wants to move it, would be happy to dedicate a portion of this for easement area if they think that's the place to put it.
Of course, you understand that pole is not the town's, that it's actually probably Mass Electric's, I think.
Should go ahead with the phone company.
See, the problem with the pole I see, you get the pole in the middle of the road, okay? Then you get the fire station.
Right.
See, and the fire station, not even on the plan, but the fire station is a serious thing as I look at, because the first thing I look at, if I see lights, start flashing, the door opens, you don't know if the fire truck's taking a left, a right, or going across, you just don't know. So I would like to see that pole gone, only for the fact that that clears the whole area. You know what I mean?
I do, again, we don't own it either. And I suspect that if
Yeah,
it were
but you
easy to
could
move,
re-
it would have been moved.
You could replace it though. You
Well,
could
I don't
remove
know that we can, we only own what we own. So, I don't know that if you move the pole over here, you'd be able to have the span that would then be able to accommodate where it goes, where the next line goes. So, it's certainly something that,
You'd give us the
No.
land if we could get Mass
we'll
Electric.
give you the land if you get Mass Electric to move it.
Okay.
Lou, if I may tag on to that, because I did have a question about the pole too. So the challenge with the telephone pole today is when one comes down Rydell Road from the transfer station, you have this telephone pole in the middle. One wonders if I'm taking a left onto Main Street, do I go to the left of the pole or the right of the pole?
Right.
Now, hold on, please. So now you have traffic coming down this way here, and they're gonna go into Rydell Road at 9 o'clock in the morning at the transfer station. It's a real trouble right now.
So if I
Hold
could
on,
just-
when I finish, then you can continue. I just wanna give you all my questions
Okay.
here, just concerning the telephone pole. So it's a real issue there, and we had brought this up last time too. So if we could work something out with the town, however that works. But I do know it is an issue today, so to add more traffic coming out of here into this would be problematic.
Okay, so, I appreciate the question. We looked into that, and, so, when we first looked into the first thing is move the pole. Not as easy as, I suspect that if it were easy, it would have been done, years ago, either by the town, because the fire department's right there.
No, the fire
We,
department hasn't been there that long, so it wouldn't have been done.
Well, when they built it, I'm saying, if
Yeah.
it was a concern, it could have been addressed, but I think the pole is like dead middle in the intersection.
Yeah.
So if it would accommodate the town, we'd island it. We'll put it, to avoid that problem that you talked about. If you want us to propose an island, we can do that as part of our site plan review with planning board. We're happy to accommodate with an island at that area, with a keep right sign, that would, basically address what is probably an existing,
Yeah.
the intersection's not the highest grade intersection anyways, probably because of that pole. You need an island there, we're happy to accommodate with an island.
You guys have any questions on the board? Mike?
Your proposed turning lanes, are those raised?
I beg your pardon?
Is that a raised turning, that island for the turning lane?
I believe,
Which-
the turning lane, the.
Oh, no, those are painted islands.
Painted.
Those would be painted islands, they would be raised islands.
If I may ask a couple questions?
Go right ahead.
Mr. Chairman. So the stack that you talked about,
Yes.
I can see
Right.
this one stack here.
Yeah.
And you said 2 stacks, so I
It's a sec-
presume it would be over here?
Yes, all the way through, right through that parking area, so.
Okay. And
This
then
would
the,
stack.
yeah, and then the other question I had was, with cars coming in this way here, where is the seating area? Here? Is this the seating area here?
See?
I see outdoor seating area.
Oh,
And I'm just thinking with the cars coming this way
Oh, yeah.
here.
No, I believe that was in the front, right?
In the front, there's a line
Yellow
right
in
in
the
the front.
front, where there were,
Oh, right here, okay, so it's all here. Okay. So the outdoor seating area is
yeah,
right
I
there.
guess so.
Then the other question I had, maybe it's on the plans here, so this berm, or what is this here?
Just
Painted.
Oh, it's
Oh, just painted,
It's the concept that right now is to paint it rather than create an island.
okay.
typically when we propose islands that are raised, really, DPW doesn't like them. They'd much prefer them. to be-
Sure, right, for the plows and, yeah. The other question I had was the distance from here to the exit of the gas station. Where's the gas station? Because there's quite a bit of traffic that comes out of there in the summertime as well. I'm just trying to think, you have cars coming down eastbound on
Yeah.
16, and you have cars, and again, on a Saturday morning, trying to get out of the gas station is challenging. So I'm just thinking,
It's gotta be over here, because there's Rydell, and they're not right across from Rydell, no.
no,
Gotta be 200 feet up.
200 feet out.
So I'll tell you that from Rydell to the driveway
Yeah.
is 430 feet.
Oh, down here.
Yes.
I'm sorry, say that again?
From Rydell to the driveway
Yep.
is 430 feet.
Okay.
The gas station's down here, isn't it?
It must be this one. It's gotta be this, because
Okay.
Yeah, that's it
it's
there,
open.
yeah.
All right, so it's
Okay.
on its scale. From this intersection,
Yeah, yeah,
it's 400 feet.
okay.
So 400, get over 800 feet.
It's the busiest area in town here.
That's probably why you want to go there.
Mike?
Has there been any consideration to directional traffic going in and out of the parking lot, like right turn in only, right turn out only onto 16 versus the island?
I don't think that's, not that it's certainly not on the proposal. I don't know that a review of the site when they did the design suggested the need for that. The
I think we
engineers.
talked about it last time.
Yeah, but I can comment a little bit on that, and the reason that we ended up putting the left turn lane, I think you probably recall, we evaluated a left turn lane at Rydell or at the site driveway. And it's a safer location to do it at the site driveway, the sight lines are longer, and there's also the right-of-way available to put the left turn lane in there, so we really wanted to kind of create that as kind of the main entrance. And if we were to do one-way circulation through the site, it wouldn't, create as much of a main access point.
Yeah, I'm not saying one-way circulation from Route 16
Right.
going westbound. You take a right into the site. When you exit, you can either go right out or you can take a right turn out only
Right on.
onto 16 and continue
16 west.
So all the westbound traffic will
Right.
stay on that side of the road.
Okay.
The problem with coming down, you have traffic that's gonna be, trying to turn in going west, turn in going, left, going east, and trying to exit all at the same time. And with those painted lines that are on there, there's gonna be, your little accident study's gonna
So let me,
go up a little bit.
if I may just ask if I can get clear on what you're proposing. Are you suggesting that the left turn, no left turn here? Is that what you're
Correct.
saying?
That's correct,
No
yeah.
left turn, so.
No.
So all left turn traffic, all eastbound traffic would exit through Rydell?
If you wanted to go east, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
So
will
you
say
don't
that-
have the crossover here,
Right,
Right.
okay?
yep.
You have too much
That's what
going
we're
on right there in
Right.
that.
I just-
Prefer it at Rydell?
Yeah, Rydell. I mean, I don't know what you think about that. I know that we looked at
I
that.
think if it pleases the board, that would be fine. I mean, for one thing, it would save us from constructing a left turn lane. As long as there is the option to make those lefts at Rydell, I don't see why that would be a problem if that's the board's preference, because the site still has full access, so we certainly would be agreeable to consider that option.
I would like to see a traffic study done on a Saturday between 8 AM and 10 AM.
People got anything to say?
Hey, Lou.
Just in the
Lou,
town.
Lou, Lou,
Lloyd.
Oh, go
You'll
right
get to
ahead.
that.
When we're done.
There right now.
When we're done.
Sorry to wake you.
Write that down.
Any additional information?
Is there any of the board members that have any additional questions for the applicant before we open up?
Well, I was asking any additional information. Mr. Holland previously was asking if there were reports, anything like that.
Okay, you need to identify yourself before.
I'm sorry, I'm Attorney Mark Lee. I'm working this with Attorney Caruso.
Okay, thank you. Any board members have any other questions?
I would like to see the accident information
Certainly.
on the strip of highway for the last roadway for the last 3 years. And I don't know if it's possible. I don't recall if we have it or not, but the original traffic report, that's something that's reduced to writing.
Oh, certainly,
Would it
yeah,
be
we can submit that,
possible
we
to-
have it electronically, we can get it into the board right away.
I think what I'd like to see is rather than just in front of Rydell, maybe up a little bit, so that you get an idea of what's going on in that whole strip. Down to Glen maybe. I'm not sure whether, you know,
We certainly could produce that, but I'm not sure how crashes that are occurring down at Glen are relevant to this
well, no,
proposal.
I think, well, as you can tell, we're worried about safety in this area.
Certainly.
That was the issue.
That's where the
And
young,
we've got a fire station the other way. And-
no, that's where
and-
the young lady got killed. Remember?
Yeah.
She was pregnant, she got killed right there, right?
I'd like to see that, before I vote, just have this staked, and we know exactly where that is, that,
Well,
Goes
Yeah,
from right
that'd be
up.
good.
Yeah, right
you
across
stated it was
Brookside.
directly across from.
From Brookside.
the- Brookside.
But I'm sure it can be staked, but it is directly across from Brookside.
Uh-huh, yeah.
Yeah.
Looks like it matches.
And just so we're clear, I think what Mike was saying, so going westbound,
Yep.
right turn in,
Yep.
no left turn going eastbound.
I mean,
How would you enforce
Same thing
that?
on
And
exit.
then exiting, no left turn. Right, have
You
gone through
narrow
right
up
out.
that roadway in.
You'd have to exaggerate the entrance, so it would prohibit somebody from coming in.
Yeah, you bottleneck it one way.
So no, excuse me, no left turn at,
Main Street.
At the Main Street exit, or out, is what they're saying.
So you
That's correct.
exit with your right turn out onto Main Street?
Done right now.
Yes.
Yes.
Not even done right now.
So the
Well,
eastbound
it will-
traffic would have to go out the right L.
Correct.
Right.
I think glare is a
yeah.
major concern.
It's east-west.
If you're there at
There's gonna be
7
a lot
o'clock in the
going on,
morning,
and
it's
it's
very
between
difficult.
deliveries of trucks and whatnot, it's gonna get a pretty busy little entrance.
I think making that change here and then modifying this here will help tremendously.
Okay.
Usually modify, you talk about the island.
I don't
Either
know.
the island or move the pole or
I
something,
think the
but
island
doing
is
something
certainly-
than what's existing.
And bear in mind that even after this process, we're not done. I mean, we still, planning board's gonna do a site plan. We're gonna have to be dealing with DPW because we're doing work in the public way.
And that's
So-
who would be involved with,
Right, that's right.
with that, as well as the safety committee and whatever to
Mhm.
come, and we have a town engineer.
Yeah, town engineer.
Any other board members? Okay, is anybody in the audience that would like to speak up? You just need to be recognized, state your name and address before you speak. Ma'am?
Hi, I'm Anne Marie Cuthbertson. I live on Downs Road in Douglas, and I'm totally against this. They haven't talked about the fire department, the transfer station. It's crazy, not just on Saturday, Sunday. Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, I mean, even on a Sunday, it's crazy. I live near the gas station. In the summertime, the ice cream store is mobbed with Wallem Lake. You can't even go by there. You're gonna have a lot of accidents, and that's gonna make a lot of residents move. And I'll tell you, I'm one that would move. Because if they did that, I've gotten to this close to accidents there, thank God. They don't stop at Rydell. They pull right out. They don't stop. And you have cops right at the town hall. You have the town hall, you have the fire department that's really, really busy. Nobody stops. I go to the transfer station all the time, they just pull right out. Then coming up by Glen Street, every night that I'm coming home from work, I'm blinded for a long time. You're saying it's fine once you go over the hill. No, it's not fine. The sun's still in my eyes, it's blinded. It killed already a little girl and their family. You know that. So I'm against it totally. And this resident will be moving out of Douglas if that happens.
Thank you. Anybody else that'd like to speak?
My name's Ray Whitehead, live on Old Farm Road. And in the nature of full disclosure, I own and operate Family Convenience Center, which is a gas station convenience store with a coffee drive-through service, which is in close proximity to the proposed site. I take exception with the traffic study I did before. The owners of New England Realty Ventures also own Dunkin' Donuts that's in my facility under Douglas Donuts. I reviewed their weekly sales for the last couple of years. 10%, 11%, 20% doesn't come anywhere near the increase in sales that your client's store sees in the summer versus the winter. I do a head count, a customer count in my store every day, and it's closer to 40% increase in traffic we see in the summer. So I'm not saying you didn't go by standards and by all the rules. This particular stretch of land doesn't fall into those standards. You're way underestimating the amount of traffic that comes into that area. The other thing, that just to be clear on what's happening, because nobody's really come out and say it, they're talking about moving the Dunkin' Donuts from the Morning Drive side of the road to the other side of the road. And if you go on Dunkin' Donuts website and you look at their site criteria, it strongly urges that sites be on the Morning Drive side of the road. And 13 years ago when they opened, one of the owners mentioned to me that if my store was on the other side of the road, they couldn't come in. They have to be on the Morning Drive side because crossing opposing traffic is hazardous. And that's what you're proposing to do here. You're proposing to take all the traffic that doesn't cross oncoming traffic and having them, and then, I'm sorry, you have the audacity to say that's not going to impact traffic? That's ridiculous. I agree with, some of the suggestions on the board could minimize this, and the amount of accidents, I'm sure statistically you can prove what you said, but I'm there, I see these accidents in front of my store, and I own the house next door, and the accidents that are there, it's a heck of a lot more than you're stating. And that's not your fault, that's not the applicant's fault. People don't pay attention, they text, it's a problem. But now what we're gonna do is we're gonna put an obstacle there. We're creating a situation that's gonna make these people crash. And, again, it's not your fault that people don't pay attention. But by putting these stop cars waiting to turn in all the time is gonna create quite a few accidents. So, as a resident, as an abutter, I'm totally against this. I have 2 houses within close proximity of this that rent out. I think some of the tenants wrote letters, and this is gonna make it miserable for them to try to pull out of the driveways. So I am completely against the drive-through window because of the traffic concerns. Thank you for letting me be heard.
Is there anyone else who'd like to speak on this? Sir?
Hi, Joe Bomba, excuse me. I live at 8 Crescent Lane in Douglas. With Mary Ann and as well as Ray, as far as the traffic goes, that whole area could be a nightmare at any given time. One thing that no one's really stressed about is the fire department. Whether people are looking to pull in to Ray's place or looking to pull into the next place, no one's ever paying attention about the fire department. You never know when an emergency is going to occur. So you could have traffic stopped on both sides trying to pull into either place, and the firemen can't even pull into the fire department, let alone pull the fire trucks out. And I think that's going to cause a massive disruption in that area if, God forbid, there is an issue with, an emergency, especially with people pulling in and out. And, even pulling into Ray's place can be a nightmare on both ends, whether you're going east or west, And you got Rydell traffic pulling in and out as well. And my biggest concern is the fire department, making sure that they can do what they have to do. Without running over cars, people, whatever, Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I'm John McGuire. I live at on Royal Crest Drive in Douglas. I have 2 things to say. The municipals aren't required to report accidents. It's not required. You're not counting accidents that haven't been reported or accidents where police didn't get involved. So there's way more than 3 accidents. I work there. I see that. Second thing, if you guys drive down Main Street in Douglas in the morning, like going towards, so you're pulling off Depot Street, think about how much of a hassle that is at 7 in the morning, how much that backs up because someone needs to cross the lane going right or someone needs to come out going left. That's going to be the case up there, and it's going to start backing up and backing up. You see it. The town's increasing in population. Every day you see cars up by GBI, past Sunset Boulevard, down there. Same thing's gonna happen down there. It's gonna back up towards Route 16. It just takes one car pulling out, someone stopping for them, and there's gonna be accidents. Even with the proposed extra lane, now you're making people cross 3 lanes of traffic, not only 2.
Thank you. Anyone else?
My name's Emily Camper. I live on Southeast Main Street. One thing that I'm noticing is that the exit that they have on Rydell, what they don't show is actually right above where Rydell stops. There's a huge sharp turn, and I used to I used to work in Sutton, and I have almost gotten in so many head-on accidents. People fly by that sharp turn, like coming down Rydell. Now you're gonna add traffic that's trying to take a left out of that turn, so there could be accidents, possible accidents there. And now you can only go eastbound off of Rydell. So now you have 2 different traffic lanes trying to get eastbound off of Rydell. And like, I feel like the turning lanes would be fine if there was any sort of like stoplight to kind of control the traffic, but there isn't a stoplight. And even when one person is trying to get into family convenience, that'll get backed up all the way to like Glen Street. I've almost gotten rear-ended because there's stop traffic right at the top of the hill. There's traffic reports, but you aren't driving through these streets every day and seeing what's like possibly happening. Like, you're doing these traffic reports, but you're not here every day seeing like what happens and what possibly has happened. I've gotten in so many possible accidents, but the rates are just gonna get higher with what could happen with this. So that's my concern.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yeah, I have to say though.
You need to identify yourself, sir.
Oh, Roland Force here, Southwest Main Street.
Thank you.
I'm 100% against it also. I owned Family Convenience Center at one time when the traffic was light. And I've seen my share of accidents right by that store. People coming around that curve, yeah, speed limit's 40 miles an hour. But I'll tell you, there's not many people doing 40 miles an hour. They're 45, 50, I've seen over that. I mean, I've been driving this road for 50 years, and you see some pretty high-speed people. And when you have people coming down in the morning, they're gonna stop to go into Dunkin' Donuts. Traffic is gonna start backing up, because traffic is heavy. Now you have to wait for some of the cars to come up over the hill, and wait for them to clear to get in. Now you're getting impatient. Same thing with getting out, or you're on your cell phone, but you're impatient. So you see a little break in the road, and you're gonna take it. There's an accident. As far as being convenient for the Douglas people, I think Ray has everything that this end of town needs, from gasoline to beer and wine to why do we need another store to line one man's pockets and cause all this danger. Personally, I think it would be a better piece of land to put storage buildings on. A lot less traffic. I mean, you got the fire station there. What happens if we build a police station there now? Which has been talked about for a while. It may never happen, it may happen. There's gonna be more traffic. You get the highway department there. There's so much there now. Now we're gonna put more there. Just doesn't make any sense. Somebody's gonna get seriously hurt.
Thank you. One of the things that we need to focus on as well is that it's an allowed use. They can build the building that they want to build there without ever coming here. The only reason they're here is because of the drive-through. It's an allowed use, zoned properly for this. So, I think they own the property, they're entitled to do anything that's allowed by zoning. So we need to focus on the drive-through issue more than the use. The use is allowed.
And I think most of the traffic discussions that have been brought up are focusing on the fact that it's a drive-through.
Oh, I agree, that, yeah.
You know,
I think it certainly,
and the fact that, you know, the east, driving east is with traffic, I mean, you know, that whole thing is, it's all because it's a drive-through.
So, Chairman, just for the record, I wanted to state that in addition to the 6 individuals who vocally oppose this, to recognize the letters that we received.
Oh.
One last time from Tim Bonin, and this time from Jeannie Benincasa, just for the record.
yep, we did get,
And this one, too.
actually, there was, excuse me, we have 2.
But the planning board does the site plan review.
That's correct.
So we really have no,
Well, I think we can, if it was approved, we could condition the
Yep.
drive-through to address certain issues or certain people. We did have communication from the fire chief and the highway superintendent that they had concerns
Right.
when this case originally started. And I know one of the concerns was the fire chief worried about the ambulance coming out
Yep.
and the pole being in the road. It's not unusual for a developer to make off-site improvements, including moving telephone poles at their expense. That's not an unrealistic condition. Sir?
Mr. Chair, George Carizzi again. Just, I would be remiss if I didn't raise this, at least for the record, you know, on the board's, you know, minutes, is that law has long established or long understood that financial interest or competing businesses, that does not create standing to raise the issues. Now, relative to traffic and stuff like that's fine. But the issue about, we don't need it, I wanna buy my beer and wine here, or whatever, or I have a competing business, not legally standing, no legal validity, and that should not impact this board's, you know, decision. This is, as we noted, is a special permit for drive-through. The use is there. If the car's pulled in and pulled out, we have the identical issues. You say that there may be an issue relative to the volume. Our engineers have looked at it. We believe it's satisfactory. Now, I understand that there's concerns, and that people say that, no, you're wrong, how dare you say this to Jennifer when she's saying you're wrong. The fact of the matter is, you have one traffic report, done by a traffic engineer, with anecdotal stories about, I've seen a million accidents there. That's not what we have. We have testimony, we have a traffic report done by engineering standards, ASHTO and Mass DOT. That's basically what you're supposed to do. And that's what we produced. And we're certainly happy to look at changes and accommodate what those changes are. I believe that they're best looked at the planning board with DPW, because DPW may disagree. It may have an impact to service. The fire department say, no, I don't want all left-hand turns coming out of here, because we gotta get our fire trucks. So they may like it where we are. Our engineers, in looking at this, position those egresses at the place that they thought, in their professional judgment, as the best place for them for this site, which is an approved site. So I know we're here asking for a special permit, recognizing the fair and reasonable standard, no unbridled fiat, it's a reasonable review. Happy to accommodate reasonable concerns of the board and the town. But my clients own the property, it's commercial property, and they want to develop it. The fact that it might impact a competing business down the street is not our concern, and should not be this board's.
I can speak for every member of this board that has no bearing on any decisions that we make.
Thank you.
We're not here to protect anybody's business. We're here to look out for the best interests of the town, not any individuals, so just want to get that
We
out there.
appreciate that.
Mike?
And just to add to that, my only concern is safety. That's why I brought up the right turn in, only a right turn out. Directs all the left-hand traffic further away from the crest of that hill. Eliminates that turning lane, which is gonna be a problem. Painted on the ground, snow on the ground, you're not gonna see those painted marks. You're gonna guess where they are.
Again, I can't imagine that the proponent would end up having a problem with that.
I don't have a
Yeah, I'm
problem
not
with that
saying-
either. I just,
it's
we're
just
gonna,
a
you guys are gonna do that,
suggestion.
we're gonna get a planning board, they're gonna come back, we want all traffic exiting the other side. So I just wanna, we're happy to accommodate, we'll look into that. I like the idea, you can narrow it, you can bottleneck it, you can avoid traffic coming out the Main Street entrance. I like it, from my
Do
perspective.
you live in Douglas?
I like the design, what the board
Board
is
suggestion.
suggesting.
Okay.
So.
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead.
I don't mean to be argumentative, but in terms of producing things, I mean, this is the first time I've seen, I think, these particular plans.
Right.
We haven't received, for instance, a copy individually to look at or to review for any period of time. I don't think any of us have recently been provided a copy of the traffic study or the statistics for the last 3-year accidents. I don't know what's been produced in terms of reports. I don't think we have any. And I just wanted to point that out. I'm not saying anybody's making any type of misrepresentations whatsoever. I just wonder if there are hard copies of these expert opinions so that we can just review whatever measurements or whatever steps they've taken.
If the board doesn't have it, we're absolutely gonna get it. We're not trying to hide anything, we're not misrepresenting, we'll get it to you, we have no problem, full disclosure. If you don't have it, it's probably under the belief that through trial counsel, they said, let's remain and get it. The data's out there. Now, admittedly, this plan is not new to us, this plan with the turning lane. That was done, it went over in a staff review, not to the board, but at staff review, and this was discussed, but when it was presented to the board, the other plan went forward, and the rest is history. The case took on a life of its own. We are right now here under a mutual agreement of council and the court that this is probably best resolved at the local level. Court stands ready to decide this case. And we stand ready, and I'm sure the town council stands ready to litigate it. But in reviewing everything, it looks as though reasonable minds can agree on a proper design for that site with the drive-through, and that's the reason we're here tonight, to relook at what was done and come up with, hopefully, a mutually acceptable decision. So I'll get you those papers. Absolutely, you're entitled to them. If you don't have them, I'm sorry. No harm. We've with the court, we've agreed to extend this thing out a few months, so we're okay. We can come back next month, get it to you with probably within a week or 10 days max. So you'll have plenty of time to read it. We'll come back next month, represent, and you'll have a full opportunity to review it. You have questions, you can ask us, and we'll have our experts back.
Can I just request that the board, the items that I noted were account on Saturday morning from 8 to 10 a.m., the crash data for the 3 years as I presented, but in memo form so that you have something in writing, and a copy of the original traffic study. Was there anything else that you were looking for from us to complete your file?
I wouldn't want any document or any reports that substantiate your position.
Okay.
And I would find anything, I suppose, enlightening that you would rely on or that you've generated so that we can have an understanding of what particular facts that you're using in coming to all of these decisions. Again, I'm not in any way meaning to be disrespectful.
Sure.
I haven't received any of these reports. I haven't, and whether council didn't give them to us, is a different issue. But, I haven't had that information, and I don't have the crash reports for the last 3 years, or a recent copy of the accident reports, or any other of the expert opinions that you're putting forward. I just haven't seen them. I don't know if any of the board members have, but I would certainly be interested if they exist and if you're willing to share them with us.
Definitely.
Mark Lee, does the chairman want the access on Main Street staked? That was on my list.
If it's directly across from Brookside Drive, I certainly can find it directly across.
Thank you.
Thank you. Pam?
Anne Marie Cuthbertson again. Is there visibility on Rydell
Visibility.
when you're driving? Is there visibility
In what direction and from where?
from coming to the store, taking the left to go onto Rydell? The family convenience
Oh,
store.
coming this
taking
way.
a left.
And then this is Rydell.
Yeah.
And this is all straight, as you know, if you drive this area, right?
No, going to the transfer station.
This is the transfer station
Right.
up here.
Coming down,
Okay.
the visibility is not the
That's all,
greatest.
that's all, well,
It's the
it's a
lot
hill,
of
there's a little
There's a
hill,
little
yeah.
hill on that.
yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Can I just say something? Sorry. Mary Logue McGuire, I live on Royal Crest Drive, and I drive the road every day. I've also had 4 kids that grew up in the town. We do a lot of fundraising at the fire station, and I think that needs to be considered. Saturday morning is very busy in that area. Again, speaking to the safety and traffic. As a parent, I'm concerned.
Thank you. Mike,
Question for the traffic
go ahead.
person. What would be the proposed increase in traffic with the drive-through and without?
I don't know that there's actually any increase in traffic. It's not as though there's a destination place. It's, the traffic is on Main Street. It's not as though we're bringing cars to the place.
Right.
You're misunderstanding me.
No, I understand your question, and I can tell you statistically, having.
I don't understand his question.
Oh.
You have that building there.
Yep.
Okay. You have your traffic, your average traffic. Then you get a drive-through in there. Does it increase?
It does. Typically, and again, this is just like nationwide statistics for Dunkin' Donuts, a Dunkin' Donuts with a drive-through will do 20% more in sales than one without a drive-through, because there are 20% of those people don't want to get out of their car, so will drive to the next Dunkin' Donuts. Mhm.
But that's not putting 20% more cars on. We're not gonna have 1,200
No, it's not
cars.
20% increase on Main Street, it's if 100 people were visiting the Dunkin', now it would be 120 with a drive-through. So if that building was as is, it generated 100, now
5%
instead it would be 120.
Anyone else?
You
Sir?
would- Sorry. No, go ahead.
Sam Skronsky of Downs Road. I want to elaborate on what Anne Marie was saying. What she asked about Rydell, I think she meant coming the opposite direction from around the turn, going down towards Main Street. Is there enough space there? Have you done the distances for a speeding vehicle to come to a stop at the point
Oh.
of entering the Dunkin' Donuts?
Oh, this right
I have
here.
not, but I will
gotcha.
do that
So
measurement.
It's, what's that distance? That's a hill, yeah,
Yep.
gotcha.
That's a good question.
And what's the proximity between that entrance and the dump entrance? We didn't measure that, did we?
In the what entrance?
The transfer station. We call it the dump.
Okay.
It's gotta
My
be
brother
mighty-
runs the dump.
It's gotta be mighty close, because I think the entrance is
Killed
getting a
him when I
lot
say
right.
that. That's a transfer station.
Sanitation engineer.
If you could get us the distance from the
Yeah.
proposed entrance on Rydell
Yeah.
and the transfer station, and then, I know there's a difference in topography there, if you could.
And there's a number of businesses across the street as well.
Yes.
Large buildings.
That's good.
A big building over there?
Okay, so the board like to continue this, and I think we,
Yeah.
this is a kind of a situation where the planning board actually does site plan review.
Yeah.
And I think the attorney did make a good point that if we try to condition it based on entrances and exits in certain locations, the end result is site plan review is what dictates that. So I think all of these concerns that we have and that we've heard, if it was to get approved, we should condition it that those things need to be addressed through site plan review, because we can't say, oh, we can, but we want the entrance right here. Or that's site plan review, which is out of our jurisdiction.
Is not a location of the entrance, but the direction and the flow of traffic, you can,
Oh, I
we're
think
gonna
we-
condition that
yeah, I
as
mean, that's
far
what
as
I think
right
we
turn in
could-
only, right turn only.
Things could be conditioned, but the ultimate decision is site plan review on that. I mean, they're here for a drive-through window, which is gonna generate tremendous traffic, we're all aware of that, there are issues there. But we are not site plan review,
No, but
we're here.
in order for us to come up with a decision, we have the responsibility to look at all of the things that we're looking at.
I agree.
To make a decision that we think is
Mhm.
good for the
No,
town.
I think conditions like satisfying the safety committee.
Yeah.
Satisfying the fire chief.
So will the applicant do that before the next meeting? Site
No, I
review,
think
fire
that
chief?
for them to
No.
finish their proposal, I think they have to know whether or not they're gonna have
Okay,
a drive-through window.
okay.
So, am I correct?
That's what see, that's
Yeah,
the step.
flow.
Yep. Get the special permit, move to safety, move to planning board, move to DPW, talk to the fire department. Talk to select board, if necessary relative to, putting in improvement, it's probably DPW then to the select board, but, relative to the island, if we're gonna island it, what do they want us to do? So, it's all part of site plan.
Right, and I don't think that we can say, move that telephone pole.
Mhm.
That's part of site plan review, which falls under the planning board.
So should they be going to site plan review before they come in?
Well, I don't, they're kind of caught in the middle. I don't think you can do one without
We
the
don't have
other.
we don't have the zoning relief, so we need your zoning relief,
Right.
so that we can apply for the site plan review. What we need,
No, I don't think so.
well, I don't get it.
I'm thinking that, just imagine that the window isn't there. That's your site plan. So you get a review, and you come in, you want to put a drive-through in there. That has nothing to do with the site. That would be after the fact.
They're gonna want, typically at site plan, the primary focus of planning board and site plan is traffic patterns, traffic flow, vehicular, safety for vehicles and pedestrians, lighting. Those are things that go in rather great detail at site plan. So we take absolutely take everything you're saying, we recognize what the issues are, but those are probably gonna get flushed out at site plan.
All right, so can I ask him a
Yeah, go
question?
ahead, Mike.
Since you have the answers for it. Hypothetically, it gets conditioned that you can only do right turn in only or right turn out only. Goes to planning board and they said, no, we don't want that, but we granted the special permit or variance on that. Does it come back here again?
If we have to come back for a
No,
special
it doesn't.
permit. Yeah, I think the special permit's conditioned, I was listening to the chair, relative to how the conditions should be. I mean, there's no problem, I think a condition that these things should be addressed at site plan and required that we explore at site plan and DPW, get safety approval, relative to traffic flow but, we may get, if the board votes right now, no left turns on the Main Street entrance, and we get to site plan, and the fire department, whose only concern was move the pole, they didn't have the other problems about the turns there. If they come in and say, no, I want your turns, I want primary means of left turn, I want that turning lane, or the passing lane that you guys proposed, and I want most of your traffic exiting on Main Street, rather than Rydell, because we don't want cars in front of our building, we don't want to, decline in the level of service at Rydell, then we're who are we taking our advice from?
Us.
Okay, well, I think land board might say otherwise, and DPW might, but the idea of this is to hopefully get.
Excuse me, Mark Lee, couldn't we accept a condition that says, the board wants site plan review to address
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
these issues?
Yeah. In fact, is the reality of it is whether the board put that in your requirement or not, we're going to site plan. Those are exactly what has to get addressed. So we recognize that this is not the last step, it's really the first. The way I look at it, I've explained to people is this opens up the bylaw, opens up the use for us to now design and present. What's the next step after this? Is site plan? We have Concom. We may have a Concom review that we have to do. So I again don't anticipate any issues with Concom. If it's jurisdictional, we're gonna be there. We're not walking away from any of the boards. We recognize the obligations under statute and under town bylaw. And when it comes to safety, I absolutely recognize this board's need to be concerned for safety, all right? But I need you also to understand, my clients do too. They are not, nobody wants to create an unsafe condition. when they look at this, they design this project, what they believe is a safe design. They got customers. If this is not a safe design, their customers aren't coming here. We know that. So we take the site and you look at it and design it with safety in mind. And to that, they hire the engineers to apply engineering standards and come up with what they believe to be the best. That's absolutely gonna be reviewed. It's reviewed here, it's gonna be reviewed by town engineer, it's gonna be reviewed by planning board at site plan. Site plan, the planning board may require peer review. I don't know, I don't wanna put words in their mouth, but they're gonna take a look at this. That's the reason why our legislature created these various procedures and empowered the towns with these reviews. Special permit authority, site plan authority, Concom authority. So we hope, we wanna produce a good site.
Right.
So Mr. Chair, I would make a motion to continue this hearing until next month, so we can get the data and information that we requested.
Okay, so we have a motion by Mr. Demers to continue the public hearing till April 5th at 7:15.
7:30.
7:30.
Thank you.
Second.
Seconded by Mrs. Holmes. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, folks.
Thank you.
Thank you for your attention. Consideration.
Oh, you were a butter. You're a butter. Trying to open that window. I am roasted.
Taking,
I got a notice, actually, I just realized that I did it.
We have any more business?
I don't think so, except get me all that information as soon as possible, so I can distribute it. Certainly. Okay, great, thank you.
She gets me cool, let me know.
I like 5 copies for the day. But yeah.
Thank you for that, Ryan.
Thank you, folks.
Thank you. Good night. All right, on to our next agenda item,
we got nothing. Right, we got nothing.
which we all have some information that was provided to us concerning the ZBA fees. I don't know if everybody can take time to review that, and why don't we plan to discuss that at our next meeting. There's some information here, what neighboring towns and other towns are charging, and we can,
What do you think of those fees? Do you think we're really underpriced or what?
I don't know, I guess that's for everybody to.
Well, I thought what we did
I
was
thought we were
fair
pretty-
last
I
time.
thought we were pretty competitive
Yeah,
myself.
so we're not gouging people, they're paying for the fees that come up, and we're not losing money.
Right.
Pretty simple.
Yeah, That's supposed to be a money-making thing,
Yeah,
it's
but we're
supposed to
not
cover our
making
costs. No, we're not
Yeah.
supposed to make money, the municipality's supposed to
we're not-
provide a
we're not-
service
you know what I
and not lose money.
Yeah, but you know what I mean, we lose money on that.
We don't,
No,
no, we
we
don't.
used to.
Well, we don't lose it right here, but
Well,
we lose
it's
it
not,
in
it's
the
not,
big
it
picture.
doesn't pay for Maria's salary or for, I mean, we're not ahead of the game, I don't think.
No.
Yes.
Like, like,
Most of them we were.
yeah, yes, like the building commissioner, they get them working 1 day a week.
But we would raise fees so
How's
that
he gonna
we
do it for 1 day a
we
week?
pay for the entire building. Inspector's
Yes,
office and the
absolutely.
ZBA's fees.
Absolutely.
I could vote against that right now. I got no done. No, I'm against that.
No, it's, really, it's more so we can cover
All right,
for her costs
why
for
don't we
helping
all
us.
Review that, we'll discuss
If you
it
look at
next,
salaries and whatever,
at our next meeting.
You get paid whether there's one hearing or whether there's 50.
and
1
that's,
day.
Oh, that'll change when they start all these little developments.
Yeah, oh, yeah, I hope
it's
so.
actually not true.
We
It won't
will
wait
find out
until
when to work.
Well, because,
Right.
Oh, what, on the development?
You're not gonna find a building inspector to work.
hours were is for certain things.
You need to do that 20 minutes.
We have,
I don't understand what you're saying.
Oh, yeah.
we have a request for project review from the planning board for an accessory apartment, which the application's here, if anybody wants to review it.
What is this one?
It is at 174 South Street. They're looking for an accessory apartment by a special permit through the planning board. The other application is for a definitive subdivision plan, known as Gilboa Court Extension, and they're looking to see if we have any input at all. Does that, Pam?
Yeah, they said it was gonna get windy.
While we're looking those over, we also have a correspondence here concerning our budget, which I thought we discussed at our last meeting, that we're gonna try to level fund our budget.
I thought so.
Yeah, we signed it.
Yeah, it's back in the packet, so.
Well, we got guidelines on that apartment, right?
The planning board does, yeah.
Yeah, they got guidelines on, what are they gonna say, no?
Say no, I'm not.
Well, I think there's some certain conditions they can say no.
Douglas, of course, this is democracy.
Hey, you see it? It's not a democracy.
It's not a republic, I apologize.
It's a republic.
I apologize.
And no one
Town
knows
meeting
the
is a
difference.
democracy. Town meeting is a democracy.
Not no one.
No, in this town.
Town
it's a
meeting is a
dictator.
democracy.
I think it's a dictatorship.
Town meeting is a democracy. It absolutely is.
So, you know who made that law?
Democracy?
No, on the apartment.
The people of the town of Douglas, of course.
Yeah.
Mr. Tessino, you don't believe the people of the
President
town?
Reagan made that.
Oh, President Reagan made it, fair enough.
Okay. He said it's time for these children to be taking care of their own loving father. That's what he said. And you know who fought him? The city of Newton.
So they're gonna put a,
Oh,
they're gonna
you're
put
being serious.
individual septic.
Tip O'Neill was with Reagan. Even though Tip O'Neill was.
5 septics,
Yeah.
20,000 square foot lots.
Tip O'Neill wanted the big dig.
Each dwelling is served by municipal water and individual on-site subsurface
Yes.
sewage.
Yes.
Sewage.
What is the size of the lots?
20,000, 5 lots,
So 40
6 lots. No,
We need 10,000 square feet of land per bedroom,
What?
septic.
lot area required under zoning is 20,000 square feet.
Will they have town water?
Town water.
Town sewer?
So it's allowed, no water.
Well, I think, does sewer go up here?
Where?
I would think they would
It goes
use
up
it.
North Street,
Yeah. Yeah, we're looking into that development, right?
that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Sorry. I think that we'd wanna ask them to consider
Yep.
hooking up their sewer to sewer plant, right?
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
I think they gotta have both, right? Water and sewer.
For 20,000 square foot lots.
Yeah. Right. A village residential.
Mm-hmm. going back, but our second case, is the board okay if I discuss the discrepancies of the building inspector
Yeah.
between the allowed use for the auto? My guess is he was looking at an old copy when he sent them here.
I think he probably wasn't. I think he went on the
Or maybe he
last,
did.
the last
Right,
case.
because we said it was non-transferable.
That's right, yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
But
That-
everybody
that
who
got caught.
got thing, you know, transmission place down there? He came
Yeah.
to the zoning board. Okay, everybody who got a
Advanced.
truck. And that's industrial. That whole place down there.
I
went
thought
to
that
the
was
zoning.
commercial on that side, though.
Where, where's that?
Advanced, is it Advanced Auto? Is that the one
No,
you're talking about?
No, what are you talking about, Davis Street?
Yeah.
Yeah.
it is.
If you're driving down Davis Street towards Uxbridge,
Yeah.
the left-hand side is industrial, the
Right.
right-hand side is commercial.
That's what I thought.
Okay, and he had to go, and he went for it, he was in commercial, and he still had to go for a permit.
But they're in industrial.
No, they're in commercial, like
No,
you said.
the mill,
Oh, yeah, they're industrial.
industrial. And
There's
under
always-
the
yeah.
regulation here, it says that it's an allowed use in industrial.
Yeah, I don't think he looked it up. I think he went by the last,
So,
last
it's all right,
term that we had.
I'll talk to him before the next meeting and
The last case we did.
see where it is.
Remember the last case we had with them other people?
Dolphin.
No, the industrial one down on 16.
The crazy one.
He was industrial. And he came here to get a permit.
The transmission place?
No,
No.
116, the cutting the cars up?
Yeah, cutting the cars up.
Okay.
And he came here, remember?
Yeah, for a repair business.
That- For repair business, because, oh, that's true.
But it wasn't a
It's
repair
not
business.
allowed.
Yeah, but
See, it's
he
not
wasn't open to
allowed,
the public.
and down the mill, he's allowed, see?
Gotcha.
We don't like him anyways.
Gotcha.
I love everyone. The
I
hostility
don't
of
know
the
if
people,
anybody
the
else wants to-
democracy, the
Wants to
individuals.
look at that?
Mr. DeCino shocked me.
It seems weird that they would not want to do,
Not counting Mark.
hook up the sewer. It's done.
You know, the girl called me up, they're doing the, what is it, up in the,
Which
in
day?
front of the church, I forget, they got the,
Actually, in those minutes of the 7th, it says right here that the ZBA feels that he should come in front of the ZBA.
they're doing the,
Yeah,
it's like a carousel.
well, yeah, I know, but we hadn't,
Oh,
we
yeah, yeah,
hadn't,
yeah.
Yep, no, I agree.
there's another one that's,
So you
I don't know
have
if
to
it's the
get
same, could be
donations.
the same thing, I can't remember, there was another one that I
I said,
ran
how much you
across.
want, how much you want for a donation?
Is that an application for the in-law?
Thank you.
So we date on this,
Did you want to add any comments to it, Mike?
How much is gonna cost to do the whole thing?
I think that the problem,
This is going out to,
Yeah.
This is the mill right
I think
here.
that was,
Yeah, yeah, Dunkin'
wasn't a
Donuts, Shell
thorough-
Station's here.
okay, yeah.
There's the mill.
something happened.
He's in this,
Yeah, yeah,
No,
this
this
side
other,
right here.
Yeah. But no, this is,
Discrepancy.
this is where these 5 houses are going, or 6
Oh.
houses.
Up behind you.
That's what I was trying to figure.
Let's get up with a sign up.
Oh, Gilboa Court.
Of course.
I wanna realize that.
So you
okay.
go up North Street, come across.
So this is the 3-way stop intersection.
Yeah, that's that screw, when that
Yeah.
goes right over the bridge.
Yeah, yeah.
You
yeah.
stop, go
Okay,
straight,
yeah.
and then take a right on
The
the
second
Gilboa.
right, okay,
This
Yeah.
is across from that North Village.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty funny though, how he had to go, that guy had to come in for a meeting, and Dolph, he had to come in, right?
Right, right.
And now you guys tell me the law changed?
No, Dolphin, he had to come in because they were not open to the public.
Okay.
And under
They were not open to
the bylaw, you can do auto repair, maintenance, but you have to be open to the public.
Okay,
And
okay.
Dolphin, they wasn't, they're gonna work on their own equipment, that was
Right.
the difference. And that we also said it was restricted strictly to
Then.
Dolphin.
Yeah.
Right. He bought Ronnie, he's down in Ronnie.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Forward, the thing.
So, should I move to adjourn?
We need to do the minutes of our December 7th meeting.
Mr. Chairman, are we doing the executive session ones or the regular ones?
We're gonna do the regular first.
I would move that we accept the regular as drafted. I'm sorry.
Why are you sorry?
Well, look,
No, it's fine.
look, I would move that we accept the non-executive minutes as proposed.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Holland to approve the December 7th ZBA minutes as written.
I'll second.
Seconded by Mrs. Holmes, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. And, Lou, actually, our executive session minutes involve you.
Well, what we should, is it still ongoing?
Yes.
If it's ongoing, we can just move it not to approve them and not to release them, or to approve them and not to release them.
You guys should
I would move to not approve, I would just like an opportunity to read them because they
Yep,
include
okay.
certain things.
I gotta go.
Put 'em on hold.
Okay. No, I was thinking, maybe we should just put them aside. Louis, you get nothing from this board, but all these other wackos walk in here and get everything, right?
Mr. Sissino, you get lots of love from this board.
I didn't hear a word you said.
Okay.
I didn't either.
All right.
Some buzzing in my ear.
All right,
So I would move that we
Put it on hold.
put it on hold.
okay, we have a motion by Mr.
I'll
Holland.
move. I gotta go anyway.
Second.
Okay.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Executive session minutes are on hold.
I'm a simple man.
All right, we don't have any other business. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Not yet. I'm still looking at this thing.
Oh, I'm sorry.
This says the cul-de-sac's gonna be 350 feet long.
I knew I got
That's
those
from-
two for a reason.
Huh?
No, I missed that. I didn't have my rule.
But is that from this point in, or is that from North Street?
Yeah.
It's gotta be from that point in.
Gotta be.
Well, then, that's an extension of the street, so the cul-de-sac is actually
Yeah.
from North Street, it's not from that point.
Right.
So is it from North Street or
It would
from,
be from North Street.
we're assuming
If you're
that?
extending that road.
That would be where the measurement would come for
So
legality.
Martinson lived there, that's why.
Yeah.
What about the minutes for February 1st?
I'll move that we,
Are you gonna approve them, or?
I'll move that we accept the minutes of February 1st as drafted.
And I'll second that.
I seen some minutes from October 2nd, 2013 in here.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Holland to approve the February minutes as written, seconded by Mr. Demers. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So, are we gonna review the information that we got on the fees?
Yeah, I thought we'd do it next month,
That's fine.
because I, for one, haven't
I haven't looked at
done
it either.
much, but,
You don't like going up on them?
no, I'm not opposed to it, I just want to make sure that we're fair to the townspeople.
Yeah.
And if it increases in the cards, then I'm not opposed to that, but
You know, everyone's getting a lot of money to do things, and because it takes a lot of money to run the town. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely it does.
Well,
I just don't
think-
agree that some poor guy who wants to put a shed in his property
Yeah.
should be the funding mechanism for the town.
And you're right on that.
I know you do.
Right, you don't wanna, come on.
I move that we adjourn.
I'll
Mike's
second
still
that. Oh,
working
thank
on
you.
I
Thank you.
move that we
It's
adjourn.
100% pure honey.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
I can't believe you.
100% pure honey?
I gotta have a talk.
Wow.
So we want to do that with these meeting
He's given
minutes
up on
that
the
were
one time.
October 2nd, 2013.
I'm
Where do you get these from?
Up at Aaron Sokrat's place.
That's when I came in.
He sells them in the baggies. Locust Street, Bob Wormy's.
Oh, yeah,
the farm.
yeah.
Yeah, they have them in bags, like 20 in a bag for.
I am, no,
like-
you are.
we have a motion to adjourn by Mr. Holland,
I think.
seconded by Mr. Seconded by Mr.
Aye.
Fitzpatrick.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I didn't know
We
they did
adjourned
this
at
pure honey.
9:25.